Do we have a... Oh.
What's happening, YouTube? My name is Immortal Coil. This is the Fourth Wave, featuring all my fourth wave horsemen of the apocalypse. We're going to go ahead and get started with author Stephen Walton. What's on your mind, buddy?
Oh, hi. I got the big screen. Kirk Douglas passed away today, in case any of y'all don't know. He lived until 103. That is incredible. Kirk was an amazing... I'm going to put the screen on for a second. Was an amazing actor. He gave so much to us in our community. He was in over 75 films. He was born in 1916 until today in 2020. Most notably in the recent past, he was in 2008's Empire State Building Murders, the TV movie. 2004, he was in Illusions, but a lot of people know him from his earlier work as Spartacus. Really just someone who was raised in Hollywood, who created the Hollywood culture for everyone. He's been in movies like Ulysses, Ace in the Hole, Champion, Young Man with a Horn, just all the way back to his first film in 1946, The Strange Love of Martha Ivers. Kirk Douglas is an icon. He was one of the chief architects, really, of the male persona in Hollywood. You know, he is so long lived. Just did so much for everyone. He was born in Amsterdam, New York, in December 9th, 1916, and passed away in Los Angeles, California, February 5th, 2020. I just want to say my heart goes out to the Douglas family. I can't wait to see you on the other side, good sir, and Godspeed to you. Thank you very much.
Hail.
Hail. Yeah, he was one of the last, kind of the great male actors, the tough guys, the rough and tough actors that we don't have a lot of these days. Grew up during tough times or in the Depression, and he has that grit about him, and as the days go by and we start losing some of these guys who kind of built that, suave, rough and tough, the rugged Hollywood culture, it's sad because we don't have a lot of people coming up because of how the world was. And, people growing up in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it was a much different world. You don't have those people who had to really, fight tooth and nail to get by. So you kind of lose that classic Hollywood tough guy. And that was one of the, that's one of the defining, I think, characteristics about Kirk Douglas was he was a Hollywood tough guy. He was Spartacus, Passive Glory, another big movie of his. And it's sad when these guys fall out of the light.
Yeah, I got to agree with you on that. He is definitely, you put it perfectly, is one of the last Hollywood's golden age. There's no more John Wayne. There's no more Cary Grant. There's no more, any of those guys. It's almost like Tony Bennett. He's like the last of the Croners, he might not have been part of the Rat Pack, but he was that style. Kirk Douglas. Yeah. Now, Kirk Douglas was part of the golden times of the golden era of movies. And Spartacus, he will always be remembered for, but he's done so many roles since. I mean, he had a stroke and still was acting. And, you gotta feel for his family, but I always will remember him as that handsome, strong looking young man as Spartacus. It really, one of those movies like, the 10 Commandments and Ben-Hur, one of those movies that affected me as a kid. I always will remember my dad watching. So God rest, man.
Blessed.
Well, great. Guys,
Hail Kirk Douglas.
Do me a favor, retweet the tweet I just sent out. We don't have anybody really with us yet, so maybe if you retweet it, we'll get some people going.
Retweet.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. It's your show.
Oh, geez, you're okay. Well, I just wanted to go around real fast, reintroduce everybody who might be new to my channel, but who might not be familiar with you guys. So just give like a little 2-minute spiel on who you are. We'll go down the row, starting with Steven and ending with Sport. Go right ahead, Steven.
I am author Stephen Walton. I am the writer of the Fandom Menace volumes, and I'm also coming out with the Elemental Saga. It's going to be a reboot of some earlier work that I had done. More news on that to come. You can find me at Twitter at Lodonis, Lodonis. I have been around the Fandom Menace since before the Fandom Menace had a hashtag. I myself found out that there was actually a first iteration of the Fandom Menace back in 1999. Didn't understand that. It was a backlash to the Phantom Menace because of George Lucas's direction that was very juvenile compared to what the prequels and the original trilogy had done. This is one of many things that I've discovered as I've been writing these volumes. I've been interacting with a lot of just wonderful YouTubers, great people. All of them have this culture of helping one another, helping each other to rise up, to grow their channels, to grow their voices, as well as being the voices for the fandom itself. And not just one fandom, although the Fandom Menace is widely known as the Star Wars backlash or the fandom backlash to Disney Star Wars. It also encompasses several other types of entertainment, like Star Trek, Doctor Who, and various others. And we are here to make sure that everyone's opinion is valid, whether we agree with it or not. You have a voice. Don't let those SJWs out there that have been around since Gamergate in 2014 terrorizing people and trying to bully people off social media out of their jobs, trying to ostracize those from even being able to support their own families, that you do not have a valid opinion because of a label that they have chosen to impose upon you. And there are many imitations of the Fandom Menace out there that say, we want to get fandom together, but they're really desperate. And so watch out for the fakes, the hate peddlers and the smear merchants. We are not those people. We've been fighting those people in Hollywood and the mainstream for quite a long time. So when we have to actually look down at the smear merchants that orbit the Fandom Menace, try and grab a little attention from us, try and grift around and grab some of that shine, it's very easy to call those people out and also to walk past them because there are much, much more influential and bigger fish to fry. Final?
Wow.
Yeah, how you follow that up?
I'm Final Death Star. Thanks for coming. I don't know. Geez.
Final Darth Elgar.
I was Final Death Star until J.J. Abrams came out and ruined that with Starkiller Base. Well, I started out, I was watching sort of the beginnings of this Fandom Menace, the Disney age, I guess, the Disney era Fandom Menace, and got inspired by people like John Talks and Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. Those are the two guys that really inspired me to start a channel. You know, I came out of Last Jedi thinking, yeah, that was good, right? That was Star Wars. And then I left. I guess I got home and thought, that's not Star Wars. That's terrible. That just ruined everything I grew up and loved of Star Wars. So I'd start watching YouTube videos on see how are other people feeling about this movie. I can't be the only one. And lo and behold, I found Jeremy and John Talks and others, talking about. I mean, Mike Zero, even to an extent, talking about how unhappy, dissatisfied they were with the movie. But then it started to a larger conversation on Hollywood in general and kind of the effort to be pushing these politics and social movements and movies that tend to overshadow the actual story, the writing, the characters, the things we're supposed to be paying attention to in movies and supposed to be taking time and crafting, and instead they're pushing agendas. So it became, the Fandom Menace has become more of a movement against this push of ideals into things that we've loved, and when in regards to it's deconstructing what we love and destroying it on many fronts. It doesn't just hold to Star Wars anymore. Star Trek, Doctor Who, it's all been wrapped up in this movement. So we're kind of the pushback in saying, like, we don't like this. Enough's enough. And also, as Steven put it, we're so tired of being called names for just calling out bad writing and bad stories, and the focus isn't on quality of a movie, it's on what agenda, what soapbox you're standing on, what you're preaching in your movie. And I think slowly we're having an impact. I think it's starting to slowly change. I actually just am uploading a video right now on Screen Rant did a story on blaming JJ for the Star Wars the Disney trilogy, laying it all on his shoulders, the blame, which I don't think it's all him alone, but saying it was bad writing and it was an ill-planned trilogy. Boy, we've been saying this for freaking years now, and finally people are starting to catch on. The media is starting to catch up. So, I think we're on the the front lines of this fight. And I couldn't really catch up to you, Stephen, but I tried my best.
You did great.
We appreciate that, Death Star. Go ahead, Bear. Introduce yourself. Let us know what you're about.
Well, this is Bear. You can find me on Bear Nerd Fun. Well, I'm just like these other guys. I want good stories. I don't want no preaching. I don't want no signifying. Now, if they're signifying good written stories, I can go for that. But if you're going to sit there and preach at me and the access media going to go out there and call us names, Scotty likes to say, once you start yelling and shouting and all that, you done lost the argument. You started name calling, you done lost the argument. So that's what we want. We want well-written stories. We don't want their bullshit. And there's a fancy word for that bad written stuff. It's claptrap. Yeah.
I think there might be medicine for that. Yeah, everybody.
Yeah. It's called castor oil, man. Take a teaspoon, then throw up, and then go get something that's healthy.
There you go.
Oh shit! Sporkin' News Podcast. How you doing, sir? Tell us all what you're about.
So just real quick rundown of how I got into the fandom, because I came in a little bit different than everybody else. I saw The Last Jedi in the movie theaters. I hated it right away. But I didn't realize that people hated it because I didn't see it being shown to me on YouTube. It wasn't until Game of Thrones season 7, well, actually like 5 for me, but 7 and then 8, really the collapse where I found the patron saint Gary. All hail.
Hail, Gary.
Hail, Gary.
He was the first person I saw, because I used to watch all these, and I still do watch all these different channels that do Game of Thrones, and it was like almost like they couldn't allow themselves to say something bad about it, which we see in all the things we report on now. But it was one of those things where I'm like, you're lying to yourself. And then I found Gary, and from Gary I found a couple other people and hooked up with Steven. And he said, man, let's do this. Let's get on YouTube and start making videos. So that's how the fourth wave kind of really started, right, Steven? We kind of said, let's do a stream, and it's cool that we're part of the founding members of this. I'm hoping it grows and becomes something greater than ourselves, which in a way it already is. But, real quick, the person to blame is not JJ. He only did 2 of the movies. It's the person who was in charge. Let's remember that. But they do not want to fire a whammon.
Yep.
That's all I got.
That's how I ended that video. I said ultimately it lays it. It's her. She's the one who greenlit the whole, ill-conceived plan. It was her decision to say, okay, sounds good.
But the worst thing of it all, the worst betrayal of it all, is that it was George Lucas that left her in charge. George Diz does have some measure of responsibility to us.
But I would love to give him like sodium pentothal. Isn't that like the truth serum? And
truth serum.
And just say
I'd love for him to be a guest on the fourth wave. If we could just be like, George, listen, you trusted these people with 3 of your baby kernel seed ideas. Right. And they said, yeah, we'll buy those, but nah. We're gonna do Twilight instead. Twilight in space.
Well, no, but what I want to ask him, with laser swords, I want to ask him when you decided to put Kathleen Kennedy in charge, was it A, because you really thought she would respect your material and keep the vision going, or B, you thought you can use her as a puppet in a proxy? I really would like to know which one it was. And then I want to know what he thinks about everything that's happened since, because I know he mother F everybody.
Speaking of how awful Disney is, just real quick, could you screen share? It's fucking CNN. God, I hate that douchebag. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry that I had to bring up CNN.
Yeah.
But school played The Lion King at a fundraising event, and now is to pay 1/3 of what it brings to Disney.
Are you effing kidding me?
A school fundraising event?
When an elementary school in Berkeley, California hosted a Parents' Night Out fundraiser, they didn't think they'd be paying the 2019 remake of The Lion King would have anything besides make kids happy. This was until Emerson Elementary School received an email from a licensing company Thursday, more than 2 months after the event, saying they had to pay $250 for illegally screening the movie.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
One of the dads bought the movie at Best Buy. PTA president David Rose told CNN he owned it. We literally had no idea we were breaking any rules. While the school doesn't know exactly the company discovered the movie was displayed, Rose said the school's PTA will somewhat begrudgingly cover the cost of screening. An email sent to the school by the Movie Licensing USA informed Emerson faculty that the company had received an alert that The Lion King was screened during an event on November 15th. Movie Licensing USA manages the licensing for Disney and other major studios. And since the school does not have a license with the company, it's been asked to pay $250 for screening and $250 per showing of the movie at any future events at the school.
Unfreaking believe that's perfect timing with the dog.
Hey, those dogs don't.
My dog is pissed. Do you understand this? She is a Lady and the Tramp fan. All right, go ahead.
All I was going to say was, first of all, you're in the state of California, one of the most like granola crunchy democratic freaking socialist states in the union, and you attack them. Like, I can understand if they went after like a red state or something, because Disney leans, very liberal, but Disney leans green, and everyone needs to get that. I mean, we all know the story of the young boy in England that father wanted to put Spider-Man on his tombstone, and
exactly what I was thinking.
They made him remove it. They made him remove it. Okay, and we're still trying. I was actually listening to a live stream with the father on with a couple guys we know on another channel, and just knowing that your child died, and within weeks of that boy being dead, you were getting attacked, like threatened lawsuits by Disney. I mean, it's just, where will it end with these people? Like, what were these kids? They're not making bootlegs and selling them out of the trunk of their car. They were trying to do was raise money for a charity. What a scumbag move, Disney.
Well, they're going to end up paying whatever they raised in charity.
Before we move on, I want to go ahead and acknowledge Storyman Jack. Hey, I'm here.
Hey.
Thanks for showing up, Storyman Jack. Philip Gaming. Philip Gaming. Thank you for showing up. And as always, our faithful Tommy.
Hail, Tommy.
The mod of the fourth wave.
We appreciate that. And actually, he's going to be one. So go ahead, guys.
Well, real quick, if you haven't subbed to Tommy's channel or Storyman Jack's, please do. Philip Gaming, I don't know if you have one, but we support each other here. And also make sure that you're still subbed to everybody's channels, because I actually got kicked from a few people I watch on the regular, like OG Star Wars.
Wow.
So, yeah, I watched the video, and then like for a week I wasn't getting any updates, and I went and looked, and boom, there it was. I was unsubbed.
Yeah.
That's insane, man.
Sure.
Yep.
Disney did not respond to CNN's request for a comment. The school raised $800 at the fundraising event, and now scrambling to cover the $250 cost of the movie screening.
That's ridiculous.
We would be enthusiastic about paying the license fee if Disney was willing to have their properties reassessed and pay some additional property taxes. That's nuts.
Yeah. Well, and I wondered about this, like, okay, to be fair, and I'm not excited about being fair to Disney. You remember when you had to go to school and they were like, hey, Superman Part 2 is playing, and you're going to see these guys get spun off into a flicking record disposal unit that lives in a different dimension.
I think it freaked me out as a kid.
Yeah, and you have to bring like $1, and then you get like popcorn, and you get, and it was on a terrible projector and all that kind of stuff. Could that possibly have covered the exhibition fee, or is this just?
No, I've never heard of this before, man. And I've been involved when I was in high school. I was like the student council president. I know I'm famous. When I was I have my own kids.
He was a sporking president class. Yeah.
Vote for Spork because
Sport
he
lives
knows
matter.
he's got the fork in you. Yeah, Spork Lives Matter. We'll talk about that later. But I've been involved in that type of stuff. There has never been anyone that I know of. Like, how did Disney even find out? Did they have some crazy, like, satellite that's watching? Like, they hear the Lion King playing and they knew that, boop, 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 pinpoint on this little school. Like, who ratted them out? Who ratted them out?
They have elementary school plants. I'm convinced.
I believe it now.
Yeah.
And just a really quick one. Philip Gaming does have a gaming channel, so please sub.
It'd be too bad we can't get Drunk 3PO in here because he is a school teacher. Maybe he would provide some insight in how this works.
He's never been busy. Tugs is visiting Orlando.
What?
So, yes.
Well, yeah, and according to Twitter, Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers actually pays him to go to like theme parks and dig up shit.
Why not?
I'm pretty sure he might have stolen a spork. What do you think?
No, he did actually. He admitted. No, he admitted to it. He tried to make it sound like it was not a big deal. Like, oh, I robbed those people, but they had money. No, the sporks were left.
He's got him on. He's got him on his eBay.
He's selling them like sex slaves. Those are my sports friends.
What is that?
Hey, where can I buy one?
Oh,
who's that boy?
What?
That is a lineup
What is
there.
that?
What is going on?
Okay,
what are we looking at here?
We're looking at the Dudes of Prey, and God,
and
Margot
one woman
Robbie
in a
is
bra.
so hot.
One
Like,
woman in a bra.
Okay, Margot Robbie's hot. I don't care.
Yeah.
From the neck up, I see her. Especially now, I love Harley Quinn, and I like her as Harley Quinn.
Jeez, I thought this was Charlie's Angels.
But no, it is. It's Charlie's Angels Part 2. But I
Quinn.
Okay, all right. Well, apparently, the Birds of Prey is dead in the water. That's what they're saying.
Hey, I got the real image.
You have the real image?
I got the real image of the real Birds of Prey.
Oh,
let's see it.
Let's see
Yep.
it.
I was doing some looking around earlier, and
are they Dudes of Prey?
Nope.
Oh,
Dudes of Prey.
Actual superheroes.
Speaking of Dudes of Prey,
yeah.
Some of those have feminine
Bam.
curves. I don't know if that's allowed anymore in comics.
And why is
I mean,
it
Jean Grey,
why isn't
right?
Batgirl?
No, Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy, Batgirl, they're not even in the Birds of Prey movie because Birds of Prey, the movie, is not really Birds of Prey. It's more the Sirens, Gotham Sirens.
right? It is more the Gotham Sirens. But you know what? Is Alicia Silverstone still hot? I believe she is. Let's throw her in a black girl. Black girl. Let's throw her in a black girl.
Yeah, brother.
I like my women dark. What can I say?
Yeah.
But throw her in a Batgirl costume and have her there. I mean, and honestly, the chick that played Katana in Suicide Squad, I like her. She was also in Wolverine. That's right, the Wolverine.
Right. Yeah,
right?
yeah, she was good. Yeah,
I like her.
No, she wasn't in the Wolverine.
Wasn't that the chick from the Wolverine? Are you
was.
sure?
No, the one from the Wolverine. No, that's definitely not her.
You sure they both?
We
have
might
kind
need
of
to
like
look
an
that up.
eggish head.
I'm looking at
well,
it.
anyway.
It's just because they're both Asian and you're an ist. That's
I am
why you
not.
think that.
Oh, look, I am. Not
Oh my god.
I am so happy that this movie has gay representation in the Dudes of Prey. Okay,
Gay mask.
Gay Mask is going to be the bestest bad guy ever. Okay, so but Harley, man, but like, I'm very torn. I can't. Lethal Lightning's supposed to be seeing this movie soon, and is going to be leaving a video about it, dropping a video about it. I can't wait to see that because he's kind of where I'm at. I just want good superhero movies. But I love Harley. Harley's got such a bitch face. I mean,
write a story worth watching.
Let her talk shit to me and what? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Write a story worth watching.
Well, yeah, absolutely. This is actually an older article. I thought this was a newer article. So I guess I'll just bring this up. Like, I don't understand what the fascination is with current day Hollywood of making women ugly. Like, do they think that making a woman ugly presents them as a strong character? I don't get that.
No, they're scared. What they are is they're scared that they're going to alienate ugly girls. I don't know.
That's
I
clothes.
like I said in my. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bear.
That's basically real quick. That's basically clothes you wear to work.
Well, not
You
even.
know?
They look like they just came out of like a 2-day bender at some whacked out rave, and their mother in the middle picked them up, and that's Rosie Perez.
That is
No,
Rosie
she
they,
was
Perez.
hot.
they got off work, went to the bar, and got real freaking drunk, and then it's like, hey, we're drunk. We got off work.
It's messed up, dude. And this is what kills me too. Rosie Perez. I mean, I remember her from, back in the day when she was like Mookie, and Do the Right Thing. She has always been an attractive woman. And like, yes, she's a little bit older now, but they literally made her look butchy or ugly because I guess they're scared. Like Margot Robbie doesn't even look as good as Harley Quinn. I'm sorry.
She doesn't look as good in this
movie. I think it's because they're scared to alienate women out there.
She
which
could look awesome.
I don't understand. Like Brad Pitt comes on a movie and it's not like I'm like, I can't watch it. He's too good looking.
That outfit on Harley Quinn is the equivalent of period panties. All right, we've all have wives and girlfriends. We know they have period panties that they wear at that time of the month. That is the outfit that they wear when that time of the month happens.
Let's hear from Final because he only has about 5 minutes left.
I mean, I could care less about this movie. It's not following the comics.
You sexist bastard.
It's not following the comics. Black Mask. I don't know what's going on with that character. For half the movie, it doesn't look like he's even wearing a black mask. At some point, I guess he does get it because we see it briefly in the trailer. And then, I don't know. I don't care about the being gay or not, but it doesn't make sense. The only thing I care about is like it's not honoring the characters. And you think about the people who designed the character, who came up with them in the first place. They had a reason to design them and to create them the way they did. Had they created them gay, then fine. Then it makes sense. It's canon, but they didn't. So to change things around, it's again, like I said at the beginning of this show, it's like it's more interested in pushing a narrative than like keeping true to the source material. And you're dishonoring the creators who created these characters and these stories by doing so. And I think you're dishonoring the community that you're claiming to represent,
right?
Because you're not creating a character brand new for people to like. You're just taking something that's already been created and, pasting on your whatever they're pushing.
And I think that's the biggest point, man.
And trying to get a fan base for it, which is like, create something new from that group and have people, grow up with it and care about it like we grew up and cared about the characters that we like.
You want to give me a cool lesbian storyline? All right,
Yeah.
Give me Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy versus Batman. Give me something like that, or Batwoman,
or even Batman and Robin. Let them be in some weird relationship. Hey, no, but it Final hit the nail on the head. Which really offends me the most is that, okay, so you're not good enough. You're a hack and you don't have the talent to make your own creations, that you take somebody else's. Well, then definitely you better honor that canon. But instead what they do is they put a twist on it and make, they want to make Superman black. And you know what? Superman, I'm sorry, he's a white male created by two Jewish men, like in the early 20s, I think it was, or even
can we get another black Kryptonian?
Yeah, but
we get
what
some
I'm
black
saying,
Kryptonian representation, please.
How about why don't we have a black Green Lantern like we actually have in the
right.
comic books? He's a great character. How about we have another Luke Cage? How about we have another, we do have Black Panther, but he's about to be taken over by his sister.
Yeah, there's rumors of that too, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's right. Like, but Superman's a good example because that was created by two Jewish guys, and and if you're gonna take that character and change its, its race or whatever it is about them, they Superman really does connect with like the Jewish story, the Jewish heritage, how they were sent away from their homeland. They were kicked out of their homeland. They couldn't return. And they were, strangers in a strange world kind of thing. And if you look at that and compare it to Superman, that is the story of Superman. So if you're going to swap a race with Superman, then you are really dishonoring the Jewish heritage.
Well, and
behind that character.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, he was created in 1938, right at the beginning rise of Hitler. And And they did make him, they never, I don't know if they ever came straight out and said it, but he was like mostly likely a Christian kid from Kansas. But they made him, if you think about it, he is like the master race, but he fights for good. And I think that was one of the reasons they made him almost like a Superman, because again, I know we don't talk about this stuff, but the Nazis were trying to cleanse the earth and make their master race. Well, 2 Jewish men said, screw you. We're making the almighty master race guy as in Superman, and he's going to fight for freedom. And I thought that, I always thought that was a cool aspect that I saw.
And him not being able to return to Krypton is their commentary on the diaspora, which occurred. So if you're going to switch that race, then you're just, you're really, that's an insult to the Jewish heritage that helped create Superman, in my opinion,
Damn,
yes, sir.
On that note, guys, unfortunately, I got to leave because I got to go to work.
Dude, you got to change your work schedule.
I know.
Actually,
night,
if
Final.
everybody wants to go ahead and follow Final Death Star and monetize his channel, he will be happy to talk to you all day about Superman and Star Wars and everything that's pertinent to your life. Let's dig him out of this hole that is. All right.
So there's 1,000 subs needed for monetization, right? Besides
4,000 watch hours.
Yeah.
But we could work on the 1,000 subs at least. Come on, people. Why don't you help out me instead of help Final Death Star out? By the way, Tyler Mango is in the house.
Oh, hail Tyler.
Hail Tyler.
The 4th Wave mascot.
4th Wave mascot. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. The year before Batman. 1938. Yep. Don't mess with Superman, man. All right, guys.
Take care, Final.
Take care, Final. Good seeing you, buddy.
The sure way to tick people off. Mess with Superman.
Anything coming up for you?
Exactly.
Hey, Final, anything you want to drop?
I just put my new video out on the JJ, on the media blaming JJ now. So, I think you're kind of seeing this shift where they're starting to realize that maybe all the bigotry and racist comments towards the Fandom Menace wasn't working out. So now they're looking at facts and actual reality, saying that maybe it is the writing that's the problem here. Maybe it is the storytelling. So I know it's a crazy idea, but that seems to be what they're getting at. So I know. So I just dropped my video on that, and otherwise, I don't know. Saturday, I guess we'll do it. Saturday is our next show.
Yeah, Saturday will be a good show. All right.
All right, brother.
All right, guys. Until then.
Hail to that.
Hail, brother.
Hail.
Hope they don't have blasters.
Safe journey and lock the doors and hope they don't cut blasters, buddy.
That's right.
Fair season following winds, sir.
Thank God he's gone.
Bad.
All right. So now
there he
Sporking, you can say what you had in your heart this entire time. Go ahead.
And what's that? What is that?
About Final. He's not listening to me.
Look, Final Death Star is actually, if none of you have realized this, he's trying to get blame off of J.J. Abrams because his real name is Frank J. Abrams, his brother.
Shit.
Dun, dun, dun. Look, I mean, if we had a picture of Final right now and put it next to J.J. Abrams, you would tell that they're related. So when he talks about not blaming JJ, really what he's saying is don't hit my cash cow, this son of a
my Faja.
I was trying to find this article you were talking about before we started the show. Let me change my avatar since I'm no longer talking about my hero Gay Mask. Boom. There's my bit from Winona Ryder, my first future ex-wife. You were talking about a plagiarism case against Disney?
Yes, sir. Go ahead and look in the 4th Wave, our personal chat. It's going to be a little bit further north than you were looking at. So I have a picture of CG Simba, and then I say, especially considering, and then I have a link.
Ah, here it is, Hollywood Reporter. Okay.
Yes, please.
I see. I operate by pictures. I'm not very good at reading. I only write fucking books.
Some people are more visual and need to hire artists.
That's why I don't read porn. I mean, I could.
You don't read it. You look at it.
I watch it for the articles.
Of course.
There you go. Holy.
All right.
What is this?
Okay, go ahead and pontificate for a sec. I will return in a few brief moments.
Pontificate.
Okay.
It says Big Little Lions. Disney's new Lion King dodges the Kimba similarity issue. Kimba? What is that? Well, that looks really alike. I mean,
it's definitely two lions, and looks like a father and maybe I don't want to, guess the other ones.
you better not be guessing their genders.
Yeah, it could be. So it's a Z with a little Z.
Jesus.
You know.
Yeah.
Read on.
Well, let's
You
see.
have a great reading voice.
It says, when the Lion King was released in 1994, a controversy erupted over alleged appropriation of the 1960s animated series Kimba and the White Lion. Are you kidding me? Created by Japan's god of manga. I'm going to butcher this name. I'm sorry. Osamu Tezuka. Oh, God. That guy. 25 years later, fans of Tezuka, I'm sorry, I've been hissed, say Disney still has some explaining to do. Amid Disney's worldwide rollout of its Lion King remake, a controversy that erupted in the wake of 1994's classic release has largely failed to resurface, namely that the animated film's designer, as the studio's first to be based on an original story, was not entirely deserved. Now, with Disney already having amassed $531 million in global box office with the same story and characters, the 25-year-old accusations that the studio copied some elements of that story and some of those characters from a renowned Japanese artist are worth revisiting. On June 24th, 1994, Walt Disney Pictures released The Lion King to rapturous audience and even more rapturous critical acclaim. The film's creative team and studio execs made much of the fact that The Lion King, unlike all of Disney's other animated films, was not based on a previous work, and that it was an entirely original narrative developed in the story department of Disney Feature Animation more than 4 years ago. But almost immediately, Disney's claims of originality were challenged by people familiar with a popular 1960s animated series called Kimba and the White Lion. Kimba, I mean, of all things, not only, hold on, not even
let's
the
just
picture.
change one letter.
Not even, oh my God, Disney is so effed up. Where was I?
Well, I mean, wait a minute, real quick, if you think about it, Stephen, they have been stealing old folk stories for generation and just making them cartoons like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and Cinderella and Rapunzel. I mean, they've been doing this. It's just they finally got somebody who can actually is still alive, at least at the moment, that could defend their work.
Well, I mean, but has been for 25 years. So this looks at the amount of power that Disney company has had for decades.
Right. Have you ever even heard of this before?
I've never heard of this before. This has been suppressed and has not been promoted because probably, it was out of Japan. And
so this is the main thrust of my bitch. Does Disney have a right to find some tiny little school in California $250 when they themselves
are doing even worse? They're doing even worse.
They ripped it off.
I mean, they're stealing a man's work and they're selling it as their own. Those kids at the fundraiser weren't like, we're going to show you something we made, Mom and Dad, and it's the Lion King. This is ridiculous.
Kimba, the White Lion. That is insane.
Mm-hmm. Keep going. Did you see the thing about Scar? And
let's get on it.
We're going. Also, Osamu, who also created iconic characters and series Astro Boy, based on his own 1950 manga Jungle Emperor. It's hard to overstate how popular the works of Mortal. Do you know how to say this name? I don't want to mess it up. I know T's are silent, I think, or pronounced differently.
Seriously?
Well, I think it's pretty well if somebody else knows how to do that. Otherwise, I have to pull up screens.
I'm going to say Tezuka. I'm going to say Tezuka.
Go with it.
And if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be an ist.
Well, it's in the interest of exposing the information. And if the family of the people want to contact the Fourth Wave and the Fandom Menace and author Stephen Walton, then we will be happy to issue a correction to this particular stream. This is important.
And have you on the Fourth Wave to tell us your side of the story.
Absolutely.
Or you can completely butcher my name in return. I am perfectly fine with that.
All right, Stefan Walrus, let's go.
Tezuka, who died in 1989, around the same time Disney started work on The Lion King. They waited until he died.
That's unbelievable.
Oh my. Were in Japan during his lifetime. In her essay in 1997 essay, Japanese Culture and Popular Consciousness, Disney's The Lion King versus Tezuka's Jungle Emperor. Oh God, yeah, Yasu.
Her name is Beth. Just go with Beth.
Beth, a professor at the Northern Kentucky University, director of popular cultural sciences, said Tezuka was regarded as not only the forefather of Japanese comics, but one of the great men of Japan. Damn, they ripped the legend off. He is often referred to as the Walt Disney of Japan due to his universal appeal of his stories and characters. Wow.
So almost like they're almost Disney was like, oh, you think you're the Walt Disney? We're going to show you the Walt Disney. Now bend over, Japan.
Well, just like you said, Sporking. I mean, they do go back and reuse older tales, you know, from time immemorial, you know, for the previous centuries.
But the comparisons are very, very suspect, and you'll see this later on. Go ahead.
All right. While it first began airing in Japan in 1965, Kimba was actually commissioned by NBC, which had established a relationship with Tezuka after purchasing the U.S. rights to Astro Boy in 1963. According to a history of Kimba by animated historians Robert Layden and Fred Patton in 1964, NBC asked Tezuka if he had other ideas for shows that would appeal to English-speaking audiences, and he suggested a cartoon based on Jungle Emperor. The series premiered in the U.S. on September 11th, 1966, and it aired in syndication throughout the 70s and into the 80s. The plots of The Lion King and Kimba the White Lion share a certain very broad elements. Both are coming-of-age stories centered on an African lion cub. Both cubs' fathers are murdered in the first act. But Kimba includes several human characters in addition to animals and focuses on the conflict between encroaching civilization and nature. However, Japanese and American fans of Tezuka's character seized upon several similarities between the two works that, if they are simply coincidental, would rank high among all-time coincidences. In The Lion King, the main villain is an evil lion named Scar, who has a black mane and a scar over his left eye. In Kimba, the main villain is an evil lion named Claw, who has a black mane and a scar in place of his left eye. Claw's henchmen included 2 spotted hyenas. Scar's henchmen included 3 spotted hyenas. Both Simba and Kimba have, among their small circle of advisors, a wise, sage-like mandrill and a bird. Lion King's Zuzu is a hornbill. Kimba's Polly is a parrot. There are even pieces of concept art for The Lion King that depict Simba as a white lion.
Wow.
That is on Google Images. I would love one of you guys to share that.
If someone else can find that one.
I'll try to find it.
Oddly, the similarity between the names Simba and Kimba most likely is coincidental, since Simba is a Swahili word for lion. But it was the images, The Lion King and Kimba, feature several scenes and shots that appear to mirror one another, that critics felt the strongest evidence of Disney arts having borrowed from Tezuka. This is...
Yeah.
Oh,
see
wow.
That? Hang on a sec.
There it is, Scott. Actually, it's right
here.
You're
good, because I'm so slow. All right.
Look at that, man.
Unbelievable, man. And you know, like, oh, we'll make it completely different. Instead of 2 hyenas, we'll have 3. You know, like
one more is better.
It's just and back.
And one of them will be voiced by Gilbert Godfrey.
Right, exactly. And you know, this was back in the 80s. And I'm sorry, in the 80s, Disney, there was no chink in the armor yet that was really allowed to come out to the masses. No one knew how they treated their employees. No one knew how they, you know, were doing these things to outside, you know, schools and nations. And I mean, I really think personally for me, Disney is one of the worst, like, maybe not a monopoly, but acts like a monopoly company I've ever seen. And yet I'm going to have to, at some point, bring my kids there. Yay for me, hypocrite.
Yeah. It's so intertwined with the fabric of America. Is
Yes.
Disney? It really is.
Perfect way of putting it.
So it's hard to avoid. It's hard to avoid it, and especially with all of the different franchises and properties that they have been gobbling up. I mean, you look back. Just as of recently, with the story with the LA Times and Anaheim, where they basically buried this story about Disneyland that was ripping off Anaheim, and then
China, or was it? Where was the other place where they weren't paying either? I don't know if it was China or somewhere else, but they were also not paying their city taxes or something like that to another nation.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not actually privy to that, but and that's another thing. Like, I don't even know that story. That's something that I need to know. But you look at that instance with the LA Times and how they were blacklisted from being able to review any Disney movies for 5 days before the journalists themselves came together and said, "Nah, F you, Disney. We won't review any of your films," which made Disney rescind that blacklisting, but only after Bob Iger got his due, got his pound of flesh, and had that editor who approved the story fired. They have such a stranglehold over the news media. Just look at how the media has flipped the story of The Last Jedi and the Rise of Skywalker and Solo, and even Solo. Like they did as much damage control as they did with that, and there was no way you could hide the fact that Solo lost money. # Solo lost money. But all of the catering that they have done, just going to the extent of labeling people Nazis and racists and all this garbage just to protect the almighty mouse. It's incredible that the amount of power, the stranglehold that this company has over the flow of free information. How more people aren't upset about that is scary to me. The ignorance scares me.
Well, it is. It's ridiculous. And there's from 2013. There's the Orlando Sentinel had a piece called "Disney Triples Offshore Profits, Saving on U.S. Taxes." So the Walt Disney Co. has nearly tripled the amount of profit it is keeping in offshore subsidiaries, saving the company $315 million in U.S. income tax. New regulators filing shows. So like they're just doing shady business practices to save themselves from paying taxes that help their community and others out. I don't get it, man. And then they cry liberal on one side, why they are definitely not on the other. It's just that thing. The face shows you one thing, but the hand's doing something completely different.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let's look further. Madhavi Sundar, a professor at Georgetown Law who wrote about the Kimba Lion King controversy in her 2012 book From Gods to a Good Life, Intellectual Property and Global Justice, says that Tezuka's company, Tezuka Productions, pursued legal action against Disney in the wake of Lion King's release. The case would have been very strong. For copyright infringement, we look at a few things different. We look at the similarities in the terms of storyline, the plot, and the characters. More similar, the second comer is to the original details of the story plot and particular character personalities and depictions. Then we start to cross over into infringement, she tells THR.
Oh, okay. That's how that works.
In addition, I'm sorry.
Oh, I see some interesting pictures there. So,
in addition,
Bear, were you going to say something?
I'm waiting for Steven to get done.
Okay, I'll be done shortly. In the case of animation here, the strongest evidence is the actual drawings depicting several scenes strikingly similar between Kimba and the Lion King. In his essay, Simba versus Kimba, The Prides of Lions, sorry about the noise, I live right down the street from the most dangerous little city in America. Pattern includes an extensive list of specific sequences from episodes of Kimba and their analogs in The Lion King amid a larger argument marshaling circumstantial evidence that Disney artists and researchers either knew or should have known about Kimba in the early 90s. His list reads in part, 3A, The Lion King, Zazu flies to Simba clinging to a tree in the midst of a wild beast stampede and tells him to hold on, his father is coming. It says Kimba Prod, a running wild, Polly Cracker flies to Bucky Deer clinging to a tree in the midst of an antelope stampede and tells him to hold on, Kimba is coming. The Lion King, lightning starts a fire and rain puts it out. Kimba, the Red Menace, lightning starts a fire and rain puts it out. The most conspicuous Tezuka supporters then and now was a scene within the image of Simba's father, Mufasa, materializes in a cloud bank.
Jesus.
Jungle Emperor featured a panel where its main character likewise appeared. Do I need to even read that sentence? Look at that.
It's like they blatantly say, come get us. You know, like, we are ripping you off. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah. Go ahead, Bear. What did you want to say, man?
You know, such blatant thievery. It's blatant. You got people like who was the tardigrade artist?
Anas
Abdeen.
Anas Abdeen. CBS basically thieves his whole idea, and incorporates it, and then Disney incorporates someone else's work and copies it, and yet they're not held accountable. But yet they can send their little bots and their little manual reviews on YouTube to copyright claim stuff that's fair use. Very good
point. Very good point, Bear. Yep.
Absolute fair use. You know, I put it in every single video I make, warning and letting them know, used under fair use, Title 17 of the U.S. Code. That's the Constitution, folks. You can't write policy. You can't change law. You're a corporation. You're like a dumb person because you're a corporation. You cannot write policy. You cannot dictate to people. The only persons that can write policy is Congress. They can write laws. You know what I'm saying?
Hail to that, brother.
Hail, brother.
So stop violating Title 17 of the U.S. Code. Fair use.
Well,
criticism. Parody.
Yeah. The thing is, Bear, they do that because they hope that you won't fight it. So if like a copyright
No. They're declaring war. They declare war when they do that, because you know what it does? It takes a week or more, and that's a week or more of revenue from anyone that's monetized that gets their video demonetized because of a copyright claim or someone claimed this or claimed that. It's war. They declared war on YouTubers. They declared war on mom and pop. They declared war on children that have YouTube videos that were monetized, that were doing game stuff for kids. Kids were doing stuff with YouTube. And now you got all this COPA stuff, and you're coming after people because of what they do. And it's just kids wanting to play video games and learn how to play those video games. Right. And you come through with all these, we'll call them blue book style laws.
Right.
Archaic.
Yep.
You know, there's a reason why blue book laws are filtered out, because they serve no purpose anymore. Get a clue.
It's ridiculous, man. And Tommy just wrote something in the chat. He said, Mary Mayhem's having her show right now. Mary is getting hit. I think he meant to say by trolls. What I would say to you, Tommy, is go over there and tell those trolls, please come check out the fourth wave. We are live right now, and we could use your trolling.
We got some serious Mufasa shit in the sky. Do you guys like Darth Vader? Do you guys like James Earl Jones?
Love him.
Love him.
Is this fair to him?
Well, you know what? But the original from Japan, they got a guy named James Earl Hassan, and he has a very distinct voice too. It's like almost every single thing about this is like one letter off, or okay, we'll just switch this. I mean, they're probably fighting it, saying, well, they had humans in theirs and we left them out, so it's not the same thing.
Oh, you haven't read the rest of the article. Stephen Walton,
more?
Could you read that for us?
Absolutely. All right. But when reporters asked the Lion King creative team about Kimba, the response was, never heard of it. Sorry.
That's messed up, man. That is messed up.
Frankly, I'm not familiar with the TV series. The co-director Rob Minkoff told the Times. I know for a fact that Kimba has never been discussed as long as I've been on the project. He added, "This is the first I've heard of Kimba or Tezuka. Sorry, I'm trying. I never heard anything or saw anything about his work."
He's welcome to come on our show and help us with this.
That's crazy. Howard Green, a Disney spokesperson, went further. None of the principals involved in creating The Lion King were aware of Kimba or Tezuka. In a follow-up 4 days later, Green softened his stance to "Some of us heard of Kimba." You bullshitters! And one anonymous source even admitted to bringing the series up in a meeting, but no one quoted deviating from the company line that Tezuka's work had no influence on the development of the film. That is straight bullshit, just from the information I have seen.
So let's wait a minute. Just put it this way then. Okay, let's just say we believe them. They did not know of this other film. Does that still mean it's not a ripoff of it? Like, okay, so maybe you had some crazy cosmic dream that made you think of this story. Well, it was already told once before. So I just woke up. I've never seen Star Wars. I decide to make a movie about it. Well, you're telling me I can't make it? Like that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Okay, as a creator myself, real quick, I only have a few minutes left and I want to get through this article, but as a creator myself,
what did you create?
Who has been influenced by several different things that I loved in the 80s and the 90s that helped me to sculpt my vision into what it is. One of my favorite series of all time, and I will never deny the similarity, is Highlander. Love the idea of Highlander. The idea of immortals traveling down through the ages, cutting off each other's heads in order to retain their power.
Yes, sir.
I love that shit. I loved it so much that I wanted to use it. I'm also a big fan of Dracula and other types of other stuff. God, I can't even talk. Anyway, the point I was getting to was I wanted to incorporate that into my story. I tell us a tale about these alien hybrids who interbred with humans thousands of years ago, and now my story picks up in 1990s United States, alternate history. U.S. doesn't look like it. The world doesn't look like you would think it looks today. And one of the things that these elemental characters do is that they can attain greater power by killing another, stabbing them in the heart with a metallic weapon, and then draining their energy, and they gain their power. There's different ways to do that. If you are a high level elemental, if you've done a lot of meditation experience and training, then you can take their knowledge and wisdom as well as their strength. But what I did was I changed it enough to honor where it came from, but also to change it and make it my own. Like I didn't just straight rip it off. Like the elementals aren't running around and cutting off other people's freaking heads and attaining their wisdom and strength. Right. They stab them in the heart. Now, if you're young, you just drain them of power. If you're in a battle situation, you're only draining them for power to get a quick power up so that you can continue fighting. But you can also take the time while you're killing this person to center your chi and attain their knowledge and strength. Their knowledge.
So what you're saying is you took something that you enjoyed from another author and you incorporated a version of it in your own book, which, like, George Martin loves Tolkien, but he took it to a different level. There is nothing wrong with emulating someone that you respect as an artist, but to actually just rip off the exact story, that is
right. That's
wrong.
Plagiarism.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's a huge difference.
Well, I guess we're going to have to wait to see how Stephen treats local school boards when they attempt to show his work in private exhibition.
I'll show up in class. Well, they won't, because it's going to be adult. It's adult science fiction or
even
science
better.
fantasy. But if they did, I'd clap them. I'd offer it to help. I wouldn't be like this. All right. Anyway, let me continue this article. I only have a few minutes left. Disney's denials only served to deepen the suspicion among Tezuka's supporters. In fact, at the time Green gave his initial statement to the Chronicle, it had already been undermined by the film star Matthew Broderick, who voiced a grown-up Simba in an interview with Austin American Statesman a month earlier. Broderick, who was cast when the working title of the project still included the name Simba, said this: "I thought they meant Kimba, who was a white lion on TV when I was a little kid. So I kept telling everyone I was going to play Kimba.
Wow. But
Right.
Disney never heard of it before.
Schott says the notion that no one worked on The Lion King ever heard of Tezuka's is absolutely unthinkable. Anyone who knows anything about animation knew that that was just preposterous. He insists that in the early stages of production, Disney's animators would have been actively seeking out reference material. The first thing they do is go out and try to look for any work that has been done using lions. You have to learn to draw these animals, he says. The other thing is that all of the Disney animators at this point in time were of the age that they would have seen it on television or seen references to it. So the idea that nobody knew it is just crazy. Sunder also points to the fact that Mikhoff's co-director, Roger Allers, Allers,
Can you put the paragraph above the thing and show the image? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Lived in Tokyo for 2 years during the 80s when Tezuka was still alive, and the series would have aired on TV frequently. Also worth noting that until 2008, Panja, Kimba's father, was the mascot of the Sibiu Lions baseball team, who were basically Japan's version of the Yankees in the 1980s, winning 8 championships between 1982 and 1992. But she adds, coming up with the smoking gun proof that people involved with the production of The Lion King actually had to watch Kimba or read Jungle Emperor isn't necessary. In addition to showing substantial similarity, you have to show access to the original. It's a sliding scale. You look at how prevalent the Kimba the White Lion is in those days. If it's a much more obscure work, then you have to show more similarity. If it's more accessible, as Kimba the White Lion was, then substantial similarity is enough. I think here, the slam dunk case is that we actually could say many of the animated expressions are so strikingly similar, which was the highest level of evidence of copying.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
I mean, that's blatant. I mean, that's blatant.
Well, it's not even really the cartoon drawing. It's the story. The story is almost the same. I mean, yes, you could take that back to Shakespeare, but they did it with lions. You know what I mean? Come on.
Well, it's the emotional beats. If you watch the 65 thing and the 95 thing, you see that they, and like our bro said, there are multiple YouTube videos about this where they show the same flamingos flying over, and they show the same wildebeest drinking water and looking up, and then the same monkey holding the fucking cub, and everyone's like, and they use different music, but shit.
I have to dip out, gentlemen, but I left a link. There was still a bit of that article left. I left the link in the private chat.
Yeah, I'm having problems showing this with my setup. So if one of you guys who want to hang
Bear,
around,
you mind doing it, brother?
Yeah, I actually have to dip out too. I got about 5 more minutes.
That's fine. Then it's probably a good hour-long broadcast.
All right.
Stay in tune next week. We will see you.
Can I just say something real quick?
You know what? I want to hear the Scotty rant. We haven't heard that yet.
Well,
come on, Scotty.
Come
on.
Look, it's not a rant. Okay. First off, I will rant a little bit. Let's just remember, people, you might think it's a funny
They
joke.
stole your sporks, man. Come on.
Disney has stole my image. They have put it in their Disney World. I think I have footage somewhere. If someone could find that, I don't know if I have it here, but I'll have it for next week. Definitely. Disney is treating sporks like they're lesser class cutlery. Okay. Oh, because they're not a fork or a knife, people can just use and abuse and sell them into slavery. And I think that is wrong, people. So just remember, spork lives matter. #thank you. And I also would like to say tomorrow night on my channel, I will be having a birthday. Well, it's no longer a birthday stream, but it is a sub celebration where Philip Gaming just got me to 475. So thank you, brother. I'm going to be having guests like Mary Mayhem, Tom from Midnight's Edge, Comics Division for a short period, maybe Gary from Nerdrotic, but most likely not. Stephen Walton, the guys from the Fourth Wave, Orville Nation. People are just maybe drunk 3PO. People will just be jumping in and out. So please be aware
for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. There might be a little bit of an order, but
We will
come in like a little later, like a half hour in, and we'll get you in there.
What time
but,
are you starting that stream up, Scotty?
Most likely between the 6:30 and 7 o'clock hour.
That sounds great. I will watch the episodes I'm going to need to watch for tomorrow's Pegasus Actual podcast, and then I will be in there early. I'll be in there in the beginning.
Well, then,
thanks, man.
so everybody check out Sporking News podcast.
Hey,
Make
Progress.
sure-
Yes.
Steven, you reminded me, Steven.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry.
real quick, just Steven, you're about to jump off and herald another podcast. Go ahead and let us know what that's about.
I am going to be holding a stream over on my channel, Author Stephen Walton, with several other independent creators. I'm trying to get more into my fellow creator sphere, the indie sphere. I'm an independent writer myself. There's a lot of great comics, a lot of good sci-fi minds, and people out there making their own material. And I think that's important in an age where these franchises that we have supported for our entire lives have turned their backs on us. Not only turn their backs on us, but consistently insult and berate us while proposing that we are ists and isms, while they themselves keep shouting out ists and isms, showing over and over again that indeed they are the toxic people and the problem in this equation. So if they are not going to buck up, fly right, and get their fucking ass in order, then I think it's up to we, the independent creative community, to create our own universes. People like Cecil. Cecil says right now his Indiegogo just hit $900,000 for an independent comic. These are the things that we need to get behind, the projects and the people that we need to help. Because if the mainstream, the quote-unquote mainstream creators in movies, comics, and television are not going to honor the source material of the creators that we have loved for decades, then fuck them. It's time for us to make our own thing. And that's what the independent comics and creator community has been doing for the last several years. So I want to help showcase that. I want to help support that. And I want to be a part of that because I am a part of that. So over on my channel, I'm going to be having several different artists on. It's going to become hopefully a weekly thing or a bi-weekly thing where we showcase just different creators. People get a chance to know them. We talk a little pop culture and hopefully get some more followers and get some more people to back these Indiegogos by independent creators. Thank you.
Fuck yeah.
Hell.
Spare 2 minutes. Go ahead. Sign off.
Well, this is Bear Nerd Fun, and gonna be having a new show called The Four Horsemen.
Hell yeah.
It's gonna be a lot like the late edition, and it will feature those of us in the fourth wave and the core, and it'll be me, Final, and whoever else in the fourth wave wants to join. This all surrounding all the other things that we're doing, and we'll bring you some things about UFOs and things that go bump in the night and those things that we just love to talk about. You know.
That's cool. You know, you should probably get a hold of what is the name of that channel? Creepy Little Book.
There's a guy.
There's another. Yeah, those guys do some really cool stuff. We should probably hook up with them. Maybe see if we can confab sometime.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Then I'm gonna go ahead and sign off and say it would be nice to talk about Chuck Wendig, but nobody gives a fuck.
We'll do it Saturday. We'll save it for